Remove a person from the background with masking. How to remove a person from the background with masking? About layer and vector masks, by the way, you can use masks to hide portions of a layer and reveal portions to the layers below. And you can create two types of masks, by the way. We have two types of masks now. Layer masks are resolution dependent bitmap images that are edited with the painting or selection tools. And vector masks are resolution independent and are created with a pen or shape tool. And layer and vector masks are non-destructive, which means that you can go back and re-edit the masks later without losing the pixels they hide. And in the layers panel, both the layer and vector masks appear an additional thumbnail to the right of the layer thumbnail. For the layer mask, the thumbnail represents the grayscale channel that is created when you add the layer mask, and the vector mask thumbnail represents a path that clips out the contents of the layer. Note and be careful here again, please. To create a layer or vector mask on the background layer, first convert it to a regular layer, then choose layer and choose new, then choose layer from background, like the screenshot now. Masking layer, we have A and B and C. A is meaning layer mask thumbnail, and B is meaning vector mask thumbnail, and C is meaning vector mask link icon, and D is meaning add mask. So you can edit a layer mask to add a subtract from the masked region. And a layer mask, by the way, is a grayscale image. And so areas you paint in black are hidden, and areas you paint in white are visible. And areas you paint in shades of gray appear in various levels of transparency, like the screenshot now. Background painted with black, and description card painted with gray, and basket painted with white. That's fine. And a vector mask, by the way, creates a sharp edged shape on a layer and is useful anytime you want to add a design element with a clean defined edges. And after you create a layer with a vector mask, you can apply one or more layer styles to it and edit them if needed, and instantly have a usable button and panel or other web design element. And the properties panel provides additional controls to adjust a mask, and you can change the opacity of a mask to let more or less of the masked content show through, and invert the mask or refine the mask borders as with a selection area, like the screenshot now. Properties panel, we have A and P. A is meaning layer mask and P is meaning vector mask. And how to add layer masks in Photoshop. If you'd like to add layer masks in Photoshop, when you add a layer mask, you can hide or show all of the layer or base the mask on a selection or transparency, and later you will paint on the mask to precisely hide portions of the layer and revealing the layers beneath. How to add mask that shows or hides the entire layer. We have 3 steps. Step number 1, make sure that no part of your image is selected, and choose select, then choose deselect. Number 2, in the layers panel, select the layer or group. Number 3, do one of the following to create a mask that reveals the entire layer, then click the add layer mask, then button in the layers panel, or choose layers, then choose layer mask, then choose reveal all. And to create a mask that hides the entire layer, Alt click if you use Windows, or Option click if you use Mac OS, and the add layer mask button, or choose layer if you use choose layer and then choose layer mask, then choose hide all. How to add a layer mask that hides part of a layer? We have 2 options again. Number 1, in the layers panel, select the layer or group. Number 2, select the area in the image and do one of the following again. Click the new layer mask button in the layers panel to create a mask that reveals the selection. Number 2, Alt click if you use Windows, then Option click if you use Mac OS, and the add layers mask button in the layers panel to create a mask that hides the selection. Number 3, after that, choose layer, then choose layer mask, then choose reveal selection or hide selection. How to create a mask from layer transparency. How to create a mask from layer transparency. If you want to directly edit layer transparency, create a mask from this data. This technique, by the way, is helpful for video and 3D workflows. And in the layers panel, select the layer, then choose layer, then choose layer mask, then choose from transparency. And Photoshop converts transparency into an opaque color and hidden by the newly created mask, and the opaque color varies greatly and depending upon the filters and other processing previously applied to the layer. How to apply a layer mask from another layer? You should do one of the following. If you'd like to apply layer mask from another layer, you should do the following. To move the mask to another layer, then drag the mask to the another layer again, and to duplicate the mask, Alt drag if you use Windows, and Option drag if you use Mac OS, and the mask to the other layer. How to unlike layers and masks? Unlike layers and masks, by default, a layer or group is linked. How to unlink? I'm so sorry again. How to unlink layers and masks? By default, a layer or group is linked to its layer mask or vector mask, and as indicated by the link icon between the thumbnails in the layers panel, and the layer and its mask move together in the image when you move either one with the move tool, and unlinking them lets you move them independently and shift the mask's boundaries separately from the layer. And to unlink a layer from its mask, click the link icon in the layers panel, then to re-establish the link between a layer and its mask, click between the layer and mask path thumbnail in the layers panel. Disable or enable a layer mask. How to disable and how to enable a layer mask? You should do one of the following. Select the layer containing the layer mask you want to disable or enable, and then click the disable or enable mask button in the properties panel, and you should shift click the layer mask thumbnail in the layers panel, and then select the layer containing the layer mask you want to disable or enable, and choose layer, then choose layer mask, then disable or layer mask enable. And a red X appears over the mask thumbnail, by the way, in the layers panel when the mask is disabled, and the layers content appears without masking effects. How to apply or delete a layer mask? How to apply or delete a layer mask? You can apply a layer mask, by the way, to permanently delete the hidden portions of a layer, and layer masks are stored as alpha channels, and so applying and deleting layer masks can help reduce the file size. And you can also delete a layer mask without applying the changes. And in the layers panel, select the layers containing the layer mask. Then you should do one of the following. To remove the layer mask after applying it permanently to the layer, click the apply mask icon, and at the bottom of the properties panel. To remove the layer mask without applying it to the layer, click the delete button at the bottom of the properties panel, and then click delete. And you can also apply or delete layer masks using the layer menu. Note and be careful please here now. You can't apply a layer mask permanently to a smart object layer when deleting the layer mask, by the way. And select and display the layer mask channel. How to select and display the layer mask channel? For either editing of a layer mask, you can display the grayscale mask by itself or as a Robilize overlay on the layer. And in the layers panel, do one of the following. Alt click if you use Windows, and or Option click if you use Mac OS, and the layer mask thumbnail to view only the grayscale mask to display the layers, and Alt click or Option click the layer mask thumbnail, and alternatively click the eye icon in the properties panel, and hold down alt shift Windows if you use Windows, or option shift if you use Mac OS, and click the layer mask thumbnail to view the mask on the top of the layer in the Robles masking color, and hold down alt shift or option shift and click the thumbnail again to turn off the color display. How to change the layer mask Robles color or opacity. How to change the layer mask Robles color or opacity. Double click the layer mask channel in the channels panel, then to choose a new mask color in the layer mask display options dialog box. You should click the color swatch and choose a new color, and after that, number 3, to choose the opacity, enter the value between 0% and 100%, and both the color and opacity setting affect only the appearance of the mask and have no effect, by the way, on how underlying areas are protected. For example, you may want to change this setting to make the mask more easily visible against the colors in the image, by the way. Then and finally press OK. Adjust mask opacity and edges. How to adjust mask opacity and edges? Use the properties panel to adjust the opacity of a selected layer or vector mask, and the density slider controls mask opacity, and the feather lets you soften mask edges, and additional options are specified to layer masks, and the invert option reverses masked and unmasked areas, and the masked edges option gives you various controls to modify the masked edges, and such as smooth and contrast, and expand. For information on the color range option, see create and continue and confine, adjustment, and fill layers. How to change mask density. How to change mask density. In the layers panel, select the layer containing the mask you want to edit, and in the layers panel, click the mask thumbnail, and a border appears around the thumbnail. And in the properties panel, drag the density slider to adjust the mask opacity, and at 100% density, the mask is completely obscure and blocks out any underlying area of the layer. And as you lower the density, more of the area under the mask becomes visible. Feather mask edges. In the layer panel, select the layer containing the mask you want to edit, and then in the layer panel, click the mask thumbnail, and a border appears around the thumbnail, and drag the feather slider to apply feathering to the mask edges, and feathering blurs and the edges of the mask to create a softer transition between the masked and unmasked areas, and feathering is applied from the edges of the mask outward within the range of pixels, and you set with the slider. How to refine mask edges. Mask edges. In the layers panel, select the layers containing the mask you want to edit, and in the layers panel, click the mask thumbnail, and a border appears around the thumbnail, and then click mask edge, and you can modify mask edges with the options in the refine and mask dialog box, and view the mask against different background. For a description of options, see refine selection edges. Number 4. Click OK to close the refine mask dialog box and apply your changes to the layers mask.